No.
Demon King Satan.
Yeah, what?
Demon King Satan. Satan.
Nope, not
Satan.
Satan at all.
Satan. 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 Satan.
So what you're seeing here is Biden being rushed to the White House, his presidential motorcade. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this video finds you, and wherever you may be right now. Welcome to Villainous News. Embrace villainy. Lewis, Red Pill Sleeper Cell,
What's up? What's up?
and Back to Center. This is on all the channels that we're broadcasting on. And what happened, Detroit 313, is that Russia decided to hit Ukraine.
Well, ICBM.
Yeah. So here we go. Oh, let me put on my readers. This just happened, what, about 15, 20 minutes ago?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So far, one person has died as a result of Russian strikes on Kiev. APA reports citing Ukrainian media. 10:05. Russia launched a series of missile attacks towards Kiev in the morning of December 20th, of course, it's today. Reports citing the Kiev Independent. Multiple explosions were reported in Kiev around 7 a.m. local time, according to Kiev Independent journalists on the ground. Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko, did I say that right? Klitschko, okay, said that air defenses were operating over the city. Klitschko reported that 5 cars were on fire in the Halasevsky district of the city due to the falling debris from a missile. At least 2 people were hospitalized as a result of the injuries sustained during the attack as a result of the industries. Come on, people. I mean, I can't read your names, but at least be able to spell basic stuff. Fires were also reported in the Slomaskia and Lewis. You want to take that one? Shevchenskis district of Kiev.
Can you blow up the screen?
Let me see if I can.
All right, where you at?
I am right. Hold on. Jeez, Christopher. I'm right here.
Shaviskus district of Kiev, with emergency crews currently heading into the scene. The Kiev City Military Administration reported that an unfinished building had been damaged in the Dnipro district. Ukraine's Air Force warned immediate prior to the MiG-31 fighter jet capable of firing Kinzhal hypersonic missiles have taken off from Russia's air base. no additional information available as to any damage or casualties. Well, as we know, is one right now from missile attacks. In recent months, Russia has continued to intensify its drone and missile attacks targeting different regions. Also, I was looking, a drone has hit a building. Right now, currently trying to unload it off of Telegram and X to show you. On December 19th, Russian President Vladimir Putin proposed to experiment on Western air defenses by launching Orishnik intermediate-range ballistic missiles at Kiev. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has reported called on Western allies to provide more air defenses to the embattled country. On December 18th, during the visit to Brussels, Zelensky called for allies to provide an additional 19 air defense missile systems to protect against Russian airstrikes on critical infrastructure.
Yeah, here's Sam Mitha. He said, Kiev, Ukraine under siege by missile attack. This is what happens when you poke the bear. This conflict helps no one except for those who siphon money and the military-industrial complex, i.e. the Cheneys. This is like early morning attacks for them. I mean, these people haven't even really got their morning coffee.
Can you play this video I just presented?
Jesus. You poke the bear. You poke the bear. When you poke the bear.
Oh, God. Hold on. I'm going into my Google Drive.
Go ahead. Wow, look at this. Yeah, one dead. Kiev hit by missile attack. Let's see here. Let's see. The attack has killed at least one person. The head of the city's military administration said earlier. We now have images from the aftermath of those strikes showing damaged buildings and emergency services battling fires and clearing debris. Because they have been, people understand something. Ukraine have been habitual line steppers. When Trump got elected, he told the little TV actor, the little goofy little Zelensky, to chill out. He talked to Putin and he talked to Zelensky and told Zelensky to chill out. Don't do it. Stay in your lane. Just sit still. Russia won't attack you. Just do nothing. Do absolutely nothing. When I get in the office, we'll talk. All right. But because Liz Cheney, the Cheneys backed Kamala Harris for president, and they gave her all that money, and she lost, they need to make their money back. They need to make their money back. So this is them making their money back. And it's my few cards, man. Ooh, this is them making their money back. You have to force that war. You have to push that war. You have to prolong it. But in Biden, when he stupidly told Zelensky that he could use U.S. weapons on Russian soil, that was probably the biggest mistake you could have made. What was that? Like, what, less than 30 days ago he said that?
Yep. Yes,
and
sir.
This fool is over there. Zelensky is over there pushing buttons. They killed what? Russia's nuclear general?
The general that was in charge of nuclear missiles and biological weapons.
Yeah, killed the guy. Like, oh my God. Like, you know what?
They put a bomb in a scooter that was outside of the building.
Like you, oh my God. At this point, Ukraine is like that disobedient teenager that keeps pushing you. He keep pushing you. Now he killed your favorite. He killed your favorite dog. So now you rained hellfire on his ass. Just gave him a taste. You went to his room and you socked his ass up real good. You gave him a taste of a couple of punches, couple of man punches, to let him know he's not in charge. So now, what is the petulant teenager Zelensky going to do now? Will he learn his lesson, or will he sit the fuck down? I'm sorry. Will he sit down and chill out? Russian missiles have injured people and damaged buildings in the cities of Kiev and Kryvyi, officials say. 2 people were injured after explosions were reported in Ukraine's capital this morning, according to Kiev's mayor and the head of its military administration. The city, okay, we already know about that. Elsewhere in the southern city of Kryvyi, a missile attack struck and badly damaged a 2-story building, injuring 6 people, according to officials. The region's governor, Suri Lasak, wrote on Telegram that a man and a teenage girl had been pulled from the rubble in Volodymyr Zelensky's hometown. Volodymyr was. Mr. Lasak said that the pair and another man had been hospitalized and were in a moderate condition. More than 20 vehicles were also damaged in the attack, while patients had to be transferred from a nearby hospital. Good Lord, you know they live poor in Ukraine. Look at this TV. Look at that TV. Who? I don't think hospitals still have those type of TVs. Let's see. All right, so here's the latest. So here's a look at what has been happening over the past 24 hours. Vladimir Putin said he was ready to compromise over Ukraine in possible talks with Donald Trump on ending the war and had no conditions for starting talks with the Ukrainian authorities. The Russian leader also proposed a high-tech duel between Russia's new hypersonic ballistic missile and U.S. missile defense systems. Zelensky responded to the comments on missiles and said, simply scumbags. South Korean politician Lee Sung-kwin said at least 100 North Korean troops have been killed and another 1,000 injured in combat against Ukrainian forces in the Kursk region. The suspect in the killing of top Russian General Igor Kirillov was charged with an act of terrorism resulting in the death of a person. The UK announced $225 million package of military support for Ukraine. The head of Estonian foreign intelligence said NATO will need to contain Russia for the next 20 years. What's going on, Carlton? What is going? I thought I clicked that. Oh, sorry. This is what I was reading. Sorry about that. I was reading this. This comes to us via what? New Sky. Oh, so now here's Al Jazeera. You want to take this one? Okay, I'll take it. Let's see. All right, so apparently, let's see this. When was this posted? Let's see. Is there a post time on this? Normally I have post times. All right. So they're saying that One person was killed. All right, let's see. All right, here we go. A Russian missile attack has killed 3 people and wounded 3 more in Ukraine's northeast Kharkiv region, the national police said. It added that more than 10 houses were damaged in the attack. Ukraine launched 6 United States-made long-range ATACMS missiles and 4 United Kingdom-made Storm Shadow missiles at Russia's southern Rostov region, the Russian Defense Ministry said. Russian forces downed all of the ATACMS and 3 out of the 4 of the Storm Shadows, the ministry said, adding that Moscow would respond to the attacks. Of course, we know that. At least 100 North Korean soldiers deployed to support Russia's war effort in Ukraine have been killed since entering combat in December, a South Korean politician said. Pyongyang has sent thousands of soldiers to reinforce the Russian military, including to the Kursk border region where Ukrainian forces seized territory this year. Russia's President Vladimir Putin said he was ready to compromise over Ukraine in possible talks with Donald Trump on ending the war and had no conditions for starting talks with Ukrainian authorities. Putin has published a decree allowing foreign buyers of Russian gas to pay in rubles in other Russian banks, not only via the U.S. sanctioned Gazprom bank until April 1st in an attempt to bypass sanctions. Ukraine's president.
Start reading this?
Yeah, take over right here. Let me handle something.
Where Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky said he needed Europe and the U.S. on board to secure a durable peace as he huddled with EU leaders at their final summit before Trump's inauguration. Germany Chancellors Olaf Scholz and Trump have agreed that Russia's war on Ukraine has gone on far too long. Scholz told Trump in a phone call that he would continue to back Ukraine in its defense against Russian aggression as long as necessary. The European Union will deliver an additional 30 billion euros of financial support to Ukraine in 2025. EU Council President Antonio Costa announced after meeting with EU leaders in Brussels. A court in Moscow has ordered the suspect in killing the top Russian general Igor Krylov to be sent to pretrial detention for 2 months. The suspect, a native of Uzbekistan, was charged with an act of terrorism resulting in the death of a person. Can you roll it up a little bit, please? Roll the screen. Hey, Bay.
I'm back. Hold on.
Roll the screen up so I can read the paragraph. All right.
There you go.
Right there. Stop. Russia and countries that support it will remain a danger to Europe even after the war in Ukraine is ended. Finland's defense minister Antti Hakkinen warned Finland is a neighbor to Russia, sharing a more than 1,300 kilometers border that is currently closed to all travelers at Helsinki's as Helsinki accuses Moscow of funneling undocumented migration to Europe. A military court has jailed 2 people for 21 years, accusing them of planning attacks on the orders of Ukraine. Victoria Karakuk, a former local government official in the Belgorod region bordering Russia, was convicted, as well as Alexander Kolokolokov, the TASS state news agency report. Cyber warfare. Russia has carried out a mass cyber attack on Ukraine state registries. Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister Ola Stefanskaya said, adding it resulted in a temporary suspension of services. The registries contain vital information about Ukrainian citizens, such as births, deaths, marriages, and property ownership.
There you go.
All right. Wait a minute. Let me back out for a moment. Let me go to, all right. You already showed that one. This is them.
Gabriel said, "Is it on?" It just might be. Remember, we were talking about this. We were saying that a lot could happen in 60 days. What are we? What a month away? 30 days away? We're 30 days away, and this is what we're dealing with. The biggest issue is, will Trump get? Okay, here's my question: will Trump be able to get on the phone and talk to Zelensky and tell him to chill out? Like, I told you to chill out, but you're not listening, and this is the price that you're paying. Will you relax before this escalates into something that is beyond your control? Like, because I'm telling you now, I'm not going to help you. What would you do if you were in Trump's shoes?
Oh, I see that Biden is doing everything to hamper me. I would tell Putin, drop the hammer. And as soon as I get in the office, cease everything. Is that Biden
Yeah.
about to get his
Dom
applesauce?
Dom LeCure, he said Biden has arrived at the White House after canceling his Delaware holiday stay. Kamala Harris also returned to the White House under an emergency. There's still no confirmation on why Biden and Harris returned. Like, come on. They're not back in the White House for, I mean, I know they're trying. It's funny how they're trying to show everything's calm, everything's peaceful. You see, we're with the great grandkid or whatever the hell the lineage is, and we're walking all nice and soft and calm. There's no need for, alarm. Everything's fine now. How are you? Let's see what U.S. Civil Defense is talking about here. Anyway, let's see here. Let's see what the comment section say.
And you know what? True News was talking about this today.
What did he say?
True News. Let me pull up True News.
All right, because these people, these people are morons. They're not saying anything worth listening to. Okay. You know what? This seems about right. I will say this: these people are creative. I'll give them that. Okay, yeah, at least 369 was on it. These people. Let me know when you bring it up. Late Night Gems. I'm listening and learning. What's going on, Forever Blessed? No new news. All right. Let's see here. All right, here we go. All right. Let's see what's going on here.
Visit their family, holiday travel will be impacted. The ability of everyday Americans to visit their family, their friends, their loved ones.
Oh, you're saying you won't be able to visit your family if government is shut down. Then, of course, you got these illegals with foreign flags protesting Trump. The borders are homing at an ICE facility in LA. You know, where they feel safe and comfortable in LA. Let me know when you pull it up. Let's see. What is this? Three men who filmed and assaulted a 13-year-old girl have been
under arrest on
jailed.
suspicion of rape and sexual activity with a child. The
I have it.
investigation concerns the vaginal rape of a 13-year-old
thank you.
female, which occurred.
Western governments to try to shoot down one of his new hypersonic missiles. I'll tell you more in a few minutes. First, the West tried again today to provoke Putin into attacking NATO nations. Ukraine used American ATACMS and UK Storm Shadow missiles to strike targets inside Russia. This is True News for Thursday, December 19, 2024. Let's begin our analysis and commentary of World War III news with this RT report about today's attack on Russia. Ukrainian missile strike targets chemical plant in southern Russia.
That's right. Ukraine launched a missile attack against a massive chemical plant in Russia's southern Rostov region, the Russian Ministry of Defense has reported. Now, according to the military, as you're seeing in the video there, the attack happened late Wednesday afternoon. 6 American-made ATACMS tactical missiles and 4 air-launched Storm Shadow cruise missiles were used in the assault. Russian air defense units engaged the incoming missiles, successfully intercepting all the ATACMS and 3 out of the 4 Storm Shadow missiles using their S-400 and Buck M3 surface-to-air missile systems, as well as their Panzer air defense system. Now, one of the Storm Shadows apparently veered off course. However, it still impacted the facility. Remember, this is a chemical plant, resulting in damage to the technical building on the premises. Moscow, of course, condemned the attack, claiming these actions by the Kiev regime, supported by Western sponsors, would not go unanswered. Once again, this was on Russian territory.
And let's reiterate, Ukraine does not have the ability to launch these ATACMS and Storm Shadow missiles against Russia without hands-on active participation by American and British military advisors.
That's right.
And American and British software and satellites and everything else it takes to coordinate a missile strike on a target. So whenever you read or hear that Ukraine used the missiles, know that there were Americans actively involved in the attack on Russia. Next story, this is also RT. Putin challenges the West to a technological duel with his new hypersonic missile. This is quite an amazing article, because what the Russian president said was, you pick a target, you put all of your air defense systems around it, and I'll send in my hypersonic missile, and you try to shoot it down. And we'll see which one.
Pause it.
I did.
We can't show his face. Because the last time the True News people, the last time we showed their face, the videos got taken down.
Okay.
So we can have his sound, but we can't have his face.
Okay.
Hold on, let me see what I can do for that. Oh, you didn't have to kill it.
Oh, all right. Wait, all right.
Just do a little YouTube magic. No, it's not a matter of fair use forever, Bless. He's banned on YouTube. He is banned on YouTube. So go ahead, press play. Let's see if this works.
Putin
Yeah,
has
because
challenged
he-
the West to
There we
put
go.
up and shut up in their modern air defense systems up against Moscow's new hypersonic Oreshnik missile in what he is calling a technological duel. During his annual end-of-the-year press conference Thursday, President Putin was asked to comment on opinions expressed by some foreign military experts suggesting that the Oreshnik hypersonic missile can easily be shot down by Western missile defense systems. This was his response to that. Well, if those Western experts you mentioned believe that, then they should suggest to their employers in the West and the U.S. to conduct a technological experiment. For instance, a high-tech duel of the 21st century. Let them identify a target in Kiev, concentrate all their air defense and missile defense systems there, and then we will strike it with an Oreshnik. Let's see what happens. We're ready for such an experiment. Is the other side ready? President Putin asked.
Doc, let's get some swag to it.
It does.
He's very confident that this new missile cannot be shot down. And if he's right, then any city is vulnerable.
Right.
There's no defense as of right now. If he's correct, there's no defense against this new missile. And if it's equipped with a nuclear, biological, or chemical warhead,
Right.
you have no way of stopping it from coming in. I mean, it's going to come in screeching. I mean, red hot, drops out of the sky like greased lightning.
Right. And if it can be so easily shot down, why haven't they done so far?
Right. Well, I'm amazed again. Here we have another provocation by the United States and Great Britain and NATO trying to force Putin to attack. They want him to attack a Western base, a Western city. What are we at? How many days to January 20th? To Mr. Trump is
Just
inaugurated.
about a month. Today's the 19th.
Today's,
so-
that's right. So about 1 month, okay. So the Western warmongers are frantic. They know that when Trump enters the White House, this war gets shut down.
Right. This
Game's over. Trump's going to negotiate a settlement with Putin. Game is over. The warmongers are going to have to go someplace else, start a war. But they want to push this over the edge now so that we're in a shooting war between Russia and the United States by January 20th. That's what I'm telling you. This is an extremely dangerous time right now. We're living by the grace of God every single day. Count your days as grace from the Lord, mercy that we're living one more day, because the leaders of the United States and of Western Europe are doing their best to start a nuclear war between NATO and Russia. Now, yesterday we mentioned a British colonel who's in charge of nuclear, biological, chemical warfare for Great Britain. His name is Colonel Hamish de Breton Gordon. He's the one that wrote that op-ed
Right.
in the Telegraph that said General Kirillov was an evil man and he deserved to die.
Right.
Okay. So this is what he said today to the Daily Telegraph in London. I'm sorry. I'm one ahead. I apologize to my team. So I want to go first to the London Times. UK forces could be sent to Ukraine for training mission. They're determined to get Western troops. Well, we know they're already there.
They're there, but they're just going to.
But they want to do it openly. They want to do it out in the open now. So remember, it's just been a couple of weeks ago that Boris Johnson said, I am in favor of sending British troops to Ukraine.
Yes.
And it wasn't long, just a month ago, less than a month ago, that if you even said that there was going to be Western troops in Ukraine, you were spewing Russian propaganda.
Right.
But now it's on the front page of the Times, owned by Rupert Murdoch. Looks like Great Britain's going to send troops to Ukraine, but only for training purposes.
Just for training. just for training. British troops could be sent to Ukraine for training as the UK seeks to forge a new leadership role on the war, the defense secretary suggested. John Healey said the UK needed to make the training a better fit for what the Ukrainians needed, as he left the door open for it to take place in the war-torn country instead of back in Britain. We need to make it easier to the Ukrainians to access, and we need to work with the Ukrainians to help them motivate and mobilize more recruits, he said to the Times on a visit to Ukraine. Asked if this meant extending training of Ukrainian troops inside the UK to Ukraine itself, he said, we will look wherever we can to respond to what the Ukrainians want. They are the ones fighting. Now, let's make it clear. The UK is already training Ukrainians now.
Yes.
In the UK. They're just going to take it out to the home field now.
That's exactly what they're doing. I mean, they're bringing tens of thousands of Ukrainian troops to the United States for military training.
Yes.
This has been going on now for several years. Now, the story I started to talk to you about with Colonel Hamish de Breton Gordon, this is the Daily Mail article. Mystery drones over UK air bases and threat of Russian sleeper agents. Putin's covert agents are probing the West's defenses for future attack, warns Colonel, as UFO hysteria grips the United States.
It's the Russians, Rick.
I'll be honest with you, Doc. He might be right.
He very well could be.
You know why? I'll go back to the book that's behind you. Through the Eyes of the Enemy, Colonel Stanislav Lunov, the Russian GRU spy. He personally told me that there are, and I don't remember the number, but it just seemed to me it was in the thousands of Russian sleeper agents, Spetsnaz. Spetsnaz troops are the highest trained commandos in Russia. He told me that there were many Spetsnaz sleeper agents in the United States. And he said, they're here, they speak perfect English. They have jobs as, it could be as professors, medical doctors, news reporters, engineers. He said they are embedded throughout society. They speak perfect English. They are married to American women. The American women do not know that they are GRU commandos. That story's not so far-fetched because just a few months ago, remember that the U.S. released there was an exchange of spies.
I remember that.
An American spy and a Russian spy were exchanged between Biden and Putin. The Russian spy who was living in the United States, his wife and children didn't know that he was a Russian spy. They didn't know he was Russian. They were ordered to leave. I mean, the kids, the wife and the children boarded a plane in the United States and flew. For them, it's first time. They went as Americans being told, no, you're really Russians. That just happened a couple of months ago. So what Colonel Lunov told me that there are many Spetsnaz agents in the United States. And he said they have a clean record. There is absolutely no traceability to them. But they are on standby. And when he said they will be activated 2 weeks before the war.
2 weeks before
2 weeks before the war. It was one of the signs he told me to watch for. He said, when you see the sleeper agents activated, you know that the nuclear war is imminent. So when I read this, it put a chill in me because I thought, okay, ordinarily I would just say typical NATO propaganda. We're going to blame the Russians for it, but he might be right. He might be right that
and they couldn't come out and say that.
They can't come out and say it. So what if these drones are flown by Spetsnaz agents?
I hadn't thought about that. They can't say anything if it was the case, because that would create greater fear than the explanation or even
so then why did the West murder the general in charge of nuclear war? Now you know why. They know the agents have been activated.
And that ties in with the shortwave
transmission from the Doomsday Station. That's another thing. Lunov said there's a series of things. When you see these things happening, know that the nuclear war is within weeks.
Man, this is some great dot connecting you're doing today.
I know, but it's not good news. Doc, it's not good news.
Well, I agree. So
this may be the Christmas that our country's on fire, what the Lord showed my family years and years ago.
well, but this would make perfect sense why they can't come out and say what the source of all these drone sightings are.
Right.
I mean, if they know, this is really incredible. So Russian sleeper agents could be behind the mystery drone swarms buzzing the U.S. and U.K. military bases, causing global alarm. A former defense chief has warned. Colonel Hamish Breton-Gordon claimed the incursions worldwide may be part of a Kremlin ploy to use covert agents to test the waters and expose weaknesses in the defenses of both the British and American bases. The veteran commander claimed that President Putin could have activated sleeper agents, spies on the Russian payroll, to run the brazen series of coordinated operations which left government agencies scrambling to respond on both sides of the Atlantic. And this just got a lot more clear here in the past few minutes.
Yeah, I would take it seriously. UK's Minister of Defense, David Lammy, he posted this on Twitter, on X, in response to Dmitry Medvedev's threat yesterday that Russia would assassinate editors of the London Times.
Right.
Because the London Times published an editorial applauding the assassination of General Kirillov. And Medvedev responded back and said, all's fair in love and war. We'll take out your editors. Didn't say it in those words, but it was clearly implied.
He really did imply.
So here's Minister Lammy saying Russia's Medvedev gangster threat against Times journalists smacks of desperation. Our newspapers represent the best of British values, freedom, democracy, and independent thinking. I stand with the Times. That just tells me they're taking this threat very seriously. When the defense minister issues a statement saying, we're denouncing this threat against the editors of our biggest newspaper. I mean, this would be like saying we're going to take out the editors of the New York Times.
Right.
Or the Washington Post. I don't know if the Russians are going to do it, but I wouldn't be surprised, Doc. If I were an editor, if I were an anti-Russian editor of the Times, I'd be very careful. I'd probably take my PTO and go to Thailand and get on a little boat and sail off for a couple months. That's because this is hot. They're looking for people right now. Now look at this next story. This is in TASS. Where'd you see this headline? Russia to invite representatives of anti-Hitler coalition countries. What war are we talking about, Doc?
We're talking about World War II.
Russia is gathering representatives of the nations that defeated Hitler. And they're going to gather in Russia on May 9.
Yeah, it's the 80th anniversary
of the defeat of Germany.
Right.
But just to see a headline like that, anti-Hitler coalition, we're in World War III.
Yes.
And this time, we are the bad guys. That's the troubling thing, Doc.
Yes.
We're the bad guys this time. In World War II, did you ever think about all the good Germans? There were a lot of good German people. I'm German. I did visit Germany, but not enough. I want to go. I've never gone back and actually taken a long trip to Germany. I want to do that because all my relatives came from Germany on all sides of my family.
And Germany's a beautiful country.
And it's Christian.
Yeah.
Okay. The Reformation came from Germany. There's a lot of good Germans, and they weren't Nazis. The Nazis took over their country, just like the Satanists have taken over the United States.
Not everybody here is a Satanist.
And we're not all Satanists, but they're in control of this country. But if you were a Christian who loved your country, Germany, and you saw Nazism take it over, okay? When World War II came and your country was bombed, you know what? You were caught up in it because you were living inside the country that was on the wrong side of the war. This time, you and I are living in the country that's on the wrong side of the war. Because the West is the evil force in the world right now, aligned with Zionism. Zionism is absolutely the most evil thing on the planet right now. It is just death. There's no other word you can put, death. They're killing people. They're killing people every day. This is the Antichrist. It's not the Hitler coalition, it's the Antichrist coalition.
Right. Germany. And the Americans should be there for that. They should be,
Yes.
but we're not going to be, are we?
No,
Because
but we ought to be.
Right now, we hate Russia.
We should be there. Instead, we're attacking Russia. Newsweek, satellite images show Russian airbase in Syria has been vacated. The Russians have done in Syria with their base like we did with Afghanistan. They just packed up and left. Multi-billion-dollar military base just sitting there empty, waiting for somebody to come in and take it. You know who I think's going to take it? You won't guess.
Oh, does it start with an I and end with an L?
Oh, I think they have that thought, but I'm going to say it starts with a C. China.
Oh, I hadn't considered that.
Who's going to stop China from taking it? You going to tell Xi Jinping you can't have it? No,
Well, they already own the Haifa port for shipping.
yes.
Why not a military base? And they could be justified in that too, that they have to protect. We do the same thing, that we protect American interests. That's why we
So
establish all these military bases,
if
right?
Xi Jinping calls Netanyahu and says, stay away from it. He calls Erdogan in Turkey, keep your hands off that base. It's ours. We're taking it. Who's going to say, oh, no, you're not. We're going to fight you? Nobody. If China wants, I'm not saying they're definitely going to, but I'm just saying if China wants that base, it's theirs.
Right.
Anything that China wants, it's theirs. They have 1.2 billion people. I mean, how big's their army? How many men do they have in uniform?
Active duty over 2 million.
Oh, it's much bigger than that.
Their reserve
much
forces
bigger
are in
than
the
that.
tens of millions.
Oh, I think active duty is bigger than that, Doc. I think. Well, anyhow, the base is empty. It's been vacated. New satellite imagery shows Russian air base in Syria has been vacated, according to intelligence analysts familiar with the imagery. This is again Newsweek magazine. The analyst who spoke to Newsweek said it looks like the majority of the heavy equipment has been removed from the air base. Now, where did they go? Well, look at this story.
Yep.
London Times. Well, looky here. Russian forces seek refuge in Libya.
Yes.
That surprised me. They moved next door. They went over to Libya. Suddenly now Russia is going to have military bases in Libya. Oh, wait a minute. I thought we killed Gaddafi so that we could save democracy there.
Right. To prevent Russia from setting up bases in Libya.
So now Russia's apparently is going to Libya. Russia is in talks with a Libyan warlord to move naval assets and military equipment in Syria to the North African country as the Kremlin seeks an alternative foothold in the Mediterranean. So Libya may become a Russian ally. Now, the other thing that happened in the Middle East today, World War III, the Houthis, nobody has told the Houthis that
That's it. Yo, Bay.
Right. Yo, I'm here.
All right.
I was
What's up,
just
Chaos?
listening, scrolling through X. So apparently, let's see here. Tulsi Gabbard had something to say.
Untold suffering and death. Here are the undeniable facts. There are 25 to 30 US funded biolabs in Ukraine. According to the US government, these biolabs are conducting research on dangerous pathogens. Ukraine is in an active war zone with widespread bombing, artillery, and shelling, and these facilities, even in the best of circumstances, could easily be compromised and release these deadly pathogens. Now, like COVID, these pathogens know no borders. If they are inadvertently or purposely breached or compromised, they will quickly spread all throughout Europe, the United States, and the rest of the world, causing untold suffering and death. So in order to protect the American people, the people of Europe, the people around the world, these labs need to be shut down immediately, and the pathogens that they hold need to be destroyed. Instead of trying to cover this up, the Biden-Harris administration needs to work with Russia, Ukraine, NATO, the UN to immediately implement a ceasefire for all military action in the vicinity of these labs until they're secured and these pathogens are destroyed. In addition to all this, the US funds around 300 biolabs around the world who are engaging in dangerous research, including gain of function, similar to the lab in Wuhan.
So it's like, where do we? I mean, tongue in cheekly, where do we sit on this? Because us as normal people, there's nothing we can do. They're talking about the drones. Personally, I think the drones are U.S. military drones. You know, I mean, everybody has their own wild speculative theories, but I mean, I really do think if those drones were of a foreign entity, not of the U.S., fighter jets would have been scrambled. Like, nobody's that goddamn obtuse as a president.
Well, you remember the Chinese balloons?
Well, it was just that one, but I mean, it took a long time before somebody actually paid it any attention. By the time they did, you know, it was too late. But this is like about what, 20 something drones, some of them the size of cars, up and down the East Coast, hovering over military bases and everything. Like, nobody's that obtuse. No president is that obtuse. But as far as the Russian sleeper cells, I can 100% believe that. The one thing that Trump did say that people weren't really listening to was that when they get rid of these illegals, it's not just people from South America, it's people from all different countries that came in illegally through the southern border. Remember the clip I played during the summer? The guy, the terrorist, where the guy, he told the guy, he was like, pretty soon you will know who I am, my friend. And the black guy thought he was being arrogant. Like, dude, like, this guy just got released from a freaking prison. He's I think, was he an Iranian terrorist or something?
Middle Eastern.
Yeah, he was Middle Eastern terrorist. Yeah. Like, what the hell?
From Uzbekistan, one of them Stan countries.
Yeah. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, y'all don't know what's going on here. You have no idea what the hell is really going on. You don't get White House briefings that the president gets. He gets a security docket every goddamn day, a thick one, many folders. This is why he was tripping about, you know, him taking the files home. Like, motherfucker, every president has files. At any rate, he doesn't tell the media nor Trump tells you the whole story of everything that's going on. Trump, this is what I do respect about him, you know, because I mean, whatever, is that he'll give you a hint of what's going on without going into detail. And he doesn't use a lot of he doesn't use any $20 words to talk to you. He talks to you like you're a normal person. And if you're smart enough to understand what he's saying, then you know what he's saying. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of, can you, in all honesty, can you stave off Russia? Okay. Can you stave off Ukraine from responding to Russia, responding to them killing their nuclear general?
They're going to retaliate.
Yeah, you're not even president yet. And Zelensky doesn't know who the answer. In all honesty, he's such an idiot. He doesn't even know who the answer to. He doesn't know who the answer to. He's beholden to Biden because Biden gave him all that money, hundreds upon hundreds of billions of dollars, which of course I don't see it. Do you see it?
Nope.
No, I don't see that money being used appropriately. The only thing that's helped is those drones. If it wasn't for those drone strikes, Ukraine would have failed earlier this year. But for those of y'all that don't know, Ukraine is using drone strikes that they got from America, where there's a scout drone. I'm gonna tell you how it works. There's a scout drone. Once it spots you, it has several drones behind it that are attack drones. That they're bomber drones. And as one Chinese soldier was saying, he was like, if the scout drone spots you, you're already dead. You can fucking forget it. You're not hiding in any buildings. You're not hiding under any rubble. You can shoot it down. It doesn't matter. The next drone will take its place as the scout drone, while the other drones will light your ass up. It's over. That's why you got so many of the Korean soldiers that are dead, because Russia was on their fourth wave of soldiers. They were pulling farmhands out, conscripting them to be foot soldiers, and they were just getting wiped out. So today's modern warfare is not really fought with soldiers on the ground, it's fought with technology. But if you get terrorist cells here on the United States soil, they can do so much damage. So much damage. That little train incident in Ohio, when was that? Last year? Last February?
Yep.
That was nothing. The bridge in Baltimore, that was nothing. Little bombings at chemical factories and everything, spilling toxic chemicals into the water, especially in the Delaware River. That was nothing.
And in the whole Ohio region?
Yeah, all of that stuff, that's nothing. That's nothing. We have no idea. Like he said, we have no idea how long they've been here, who they are, all right, and where they are. This is why I say this whole situation with the illegals from South America, especially starting in Aurora, that's going to be very, very bloody. That's going to be very bloody. And no telling who these illegals answer to. If you're all of a sudden, come January 21st, if all of a sudden you have terrorist organizations from different countries, hey, here's 20K, go shoot up this mall. Here's 40K, go shoot up this school or this factory, whatever. If they soft target your ass, they can soft target you into mass hysteria and then into a civil war, because that's when there will be no doubt that the bubbas in the pickup trucks is coming down from the hills and they going for blood. They're going to be tired of sitting on their asses for way too long. You said, what did you say, Lewis? That you said that this is the last president?
Yeah.
If some shit like that go down, it will most definitely spark a civil war. this country will be torn asunder. That's why Ukraine got to chill the fuck out. They got to chill out. They got to chill out. I mean, we still got to deal with the Middle East with the small hats fucking with the Palestinians on other people's soil. Those are acts of war. You're bombing. You're trying to. We know what you're doing. You want to eliminate all traces of them. You don't want any of them coming back talking about this is my land. I get it. But you're now bombing other countries, calling yourself chasing them, and now they're striking back at you. Iran still want to kick your fucking ass. Eventually, somebody gonna press the buttons on you. Somebody's gonna press the buttons on you, and then the whole land issue will be just settled. It'll be settled in one fell swoop, in a fiery display of fuck around and find out. And if you piss Russia off enough, I mean, understand Putin is not Trump's bitch. Putin is nobody's bitch. That guy's a fucking James Bond spy. Like, literally. What he will do for country is immeasurable. Let another U.S. bomb hit his soil. See what happened. Let another U.S. weapon hit his soil and see what happened. He's not gonna care who in office or who wants to have peace talks. Yeah, we can talk. Meanwhile, while you sitting there talking, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Chicago, Texas, Florida, California is under siege. While you sitting up there having peace talks. Well, yeah, I mean, if he stops shooting in my territory, I'm sorry. Mr. Trump, you need to take a phone call? You need to take that? Go ahead. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead. You go take your phone call. I wait. I sip my tea. A trouble at home. Oh my God. Shit. This is about to be a contest of who got the biggest cojones. And we're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for it dearly. And you have nobody to thank but Joe fucking Biden. Oh, Jim Crow fucking Joe. That Democratic Party whose dick y'all niggas been sucking. Excuse my language, but come on. At some point, you got to wake up and smell the crazy. You so worried about Trump. Meanwhile, if you ain't black, Mr. You ain't black. Got your kids out here going on robbing sprees. Got your baby mama getting evicted. You losing your fucking part-time jobs left and right, or main jobs. You got to drive grandma an extra 5 miles just so she can get her damn medicine and do her grocery shopping. An extra 5 miles. You got to go out of your way. The milk is high, the eggs is high, the gas is high. And you can't understand why. Because you got illegals in your fucking country. You're funding wars that you have no business being even in any part of whatsoever. Russia was trying to annex Ukraine because the U.S. was robbing them on the prices of wheat. robbing them on the prices of wheat. The whole purpose of BRICS is that these countries, they get their fair share for their resources. That's the whole purpose of BRICS, a one world currency. Instead of us ripping each other off and shit, we treat you like a fellow human being. You get some respect. The U.S. is robbing you on your wheat costs. They telling us you just trying to take over. Oh my God, you dumb fuck you. Come look at the papers. Come look at the numbers. I don't want to look at the numbers. Like, oh my God. You're spiting your nose to cut off your face out there in Ukraine because you got that stupid ass TV actor as a president. He's a puppet president installed by the U.S. so they can continue to fuck over Ukraine for their resources. In case y'all didn't know what the real story was. Now it's evolved into this. Oh, where's the Tylenol? I'm sorry, Lewis. Go ahead.
No. I'm listening. I'm looking for other checking out X right now. Seeing if anything recently posted. Anything currently happening in Ukraine?
I mean, everything gonna be cool right now. You know, everything gonna be chilling out. They're gonna assess damage. They're gonna look at whether or not they should make a strike or not. I mean, that's the whole reason why they brought Biden back to the White House, to get on the phone. Will first concur with the generals and also get on the phone with Zelensky on how he should handle this. And we'll see if his response will be based on, it'll be based on whatever Biden told him to do. Let's just be honest. It'll be based on what Biden told him to do, which will be coming out of the general's mouth, which will also be coming out of Liz Cheney's mouth, because they want their fucking money. They want their fucking money. Remember the Chinese girl that was the fundraiser? Remember the Chinese girl that was the fundraiser for the Democratic Party?
I do not remember. I'd be lying if I say.
She was the main fundraiser for the Democratic Party, and she was saying how after the election, she was saying the fundraisers, the people that gave her money, you know, for Kamala, they were pissed, especially when they found out that she was $20 million in debt over blowing 1.5. So now the Democratic Party is mad at her because she's like, well, it's Kamala's fault that they fumbled, that, you know, the money is spent. It's her fault. So they're mad at her. And she's like, and so now they call themselves trying to ostracize her from the Democratic Party. This chick raised $2.5 billion.
Well, the Democratic Party right now.
I mean, 1.5.
They eating their own right now. I mean,
right.
Everybody's turning on TYT. Roland Martin attacking them. It's a shit show. But they're destroying themselves. They're making themselves. They're exposing themselves to the public right now. To be honest.
I mean, that's their own fault. Let me see if I can find that video. Hold on. Wrong profile. Hold on. Let me switch. Switch account. Here we go. All right. Hold on. I'll give y'all something to look at.
November 5th was a decisive defeat for the Democratic Party. She lost every single swing state. It wasn't a squeaker like it was in 2016. This was a resounding defeat. And right now, Kamala Harris is indulging in delusions of running for governor of California, possibly in 2026, or even president again in 2028. America has said this is not what we don't want to be coconut pilled. We do not want Kamala Harris. We don't want failed border policies. And I feel like I'm liberated and I can finally tell the truth that the Democrats completely failed on the border.
Damn, she looked ragged. Wait, hold on. Look at this shit. Look how ragged she looked. You see that?
Yeah.
That's what happens when you drink hard liquor. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lush.
Yeah.
She looked like she haven't slept. Look at the bags under her eyes.
She talk about some staging about a 2026 gubernatorial or 2028 presidential run, because she want to run for governor in California in 2026. Like, girl, they want you to step foot in California. They've been waiting on you. They like Sergeant James Dokes. Yeah, I've been waiting. Y'all are reading this? She was here. She lost every single swing state. It wasn't a squeaker like it was in 2016. This was a resounding defeat. And right now, Kamala Harris is indulging in delusions of running for governor of California, possibly in 2026, or even president again in 2028. This is Lindy Lee. That's the DNC fundraisers, the Asian chick. Also says, America has said we don't want to be coconut pilled. We do not want Kamala Harris. We don't want failed border policies. And I feel like I'm liberated and I can finally tell the truth that the Democrats completely failed on the border. Again, the fundraiser chick. Lee's response came following DNC Executive Board member Yvette Lewis's comments about supporting Harris in the future. She said on Wednesday, Lewis said she would be on board 100% with whatever Harris decided to do in the future. Like, are you kidding me? Despite the vice president's definitive defeat to Donald Trump in the election, Lewis called Harris a phenomenal candidate. During her appearance on Fox News, America's Newsroom, Lee revealed she has been ostracized by many Democrats. Lee's exclusion by many Democrats follows comments she made about the party following the election. Fundraisers comments about how the Democratic Party was plagued by the stench of a loser upset many. Well, it was plagued by the stench of a loser. I lost tens of thousands of followers because I dared to tell the truth. Because in the cult, you can't tell the truth. You can't ask any questions, but I'm done with that. I'm probably going to get canceled again for what I'm about to say. Men are men and women are women, and it's an issue when men are trouncing women in women's sports. This should not be a controversial take. It's common sense, and the American people understand that the Democratic Party, they exist in their ivory towers that are so far removed from the reality, and these ridiculous culture wars are not what Americans care about. During a segment on Sky News, the Boat Report contributor Tina McQueen said it would have been a disaster if Harris became president. That's true.
All right, now I can't do a show without talking about another brilliant word salad from Kamala Harris. And when I use the word brilliant, you know what I mean.
And I ask you to remember the context in which you exist.
Bitch, what?
Yeah, I did that.
I'm sorry. I'm so tired. It's 3:00 in the morning. I'm sorry, y'all. I need to wash my mouth. I apologize.
Tina, Kamala suddenly had some self-awareness. Of course, we were very aware of her ages ago. What on earth is with this lady?
Oh, how anyone in the US of A thought that Kamala could attract any votes is beyond me. And every time I see these clips of her, James, it reminds me how lucky we have President Trump. I mean, what a disaster it would have been had Kamala, somehow fallen over the line. But each clip I see, I realize now why she lost a lot of votes and she had no hope of beating President-elect Trump in the last election.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But Christy, what amazes me about President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris is they're still in office, but they seem to have pretty much given up governing.
Well, they talk about the lame duck president in the United States, and this is the lamest duck we have ever seen in the White House, President Biden, isn't he? The footage that comes up of him in his leisure time and at work, it is very, very clear that that guy hasn't made a decision for several months. It is unbelievable. And I think Kamala, she must be going for some esoteric theory head of government at the Harvard Kennedy School, I think, or one of these elite liberal East Coast universities who like listening to that sort of thing from eminent honorary professors.
Tina, we've only got about 30 seconds left, but... No, you go ahead.
I was only going to say the only decisions Biden has made is to let criminals off, his son included. They're the only decisions she's made recently.
You're absolutely right. And remember all the doom and gloom about, Trump being a dictator and it's the end of democracy. And there was just a new poll that's come out overnight showing the majority of Americans are actually optimistic about the next 4 years. 53% of Americans, in fact, say they're looking forward to this next season, mostly because they believe that economically America is going to be a lot better off. Fascinatingly, those that are pessimistic reckon that they're worried about bigotry that's going to be stirred up by Trump. So there you go. But the majority of Americans, they're looking forward to the Trump presidency. So there you have it. Tina
Yeah, this is Australian news. So you say, and what's going on, Manosphere? Say, I don't think any enemies will be attacking us inside the U.S. People have been warning of this for 2 decades. It ain't going to happen. It's already happening. You got Venezuelan gangs kidnapping Americans, torturing them out there in Aurora, Colorado. And we've never had a missile exchange with Russia before. We've never had this type of proxy war. When's the last time we had this type of proxy war with Russia?
Afghanistan.
Yeah. And that was what? Over what? Poppy fields?
Late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. Things are different now. Yeah, but the U.S. can most definitely attack its own civilians at some point. Yeah, true. Say cops have been training in Cop City for urban warfare. Yeah, he down here in Atlanta. Yeah, outside in Atlanta, you got their teeth out there trying to stir up trouble, trying to burn it down and everything. Like, man, y'all, they should have been shot on sight. You should have been shot on sight because what you were doing there, that was terroristic activity. You're trying to burn down police stations. That's terroristic activity. There's no mercy for that. Saying Trump gets in there in a few weeks, escalation continues. Until then, this corrupted Dem administration. I know, man. I know. Putin not doing nothing. Russian military and economy is weak. They are a nuclear threat only, nothing else. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. They got hypersonic missiles and everything. That little Golden Dome and your little airstrike things, little air defense missiles. Them hypersonic missiles cut right through that. You say Ukraine is a link in the Great Israel Project? You think? Okay. I think when it finally pops off, most of us will be running around like a chicken with no head. Right. I mean, what the hell can we do against missile strikes? And how many of us are actually trained for, roving gangs of people running, going up and down your street, kicking in doors, and doing crazy gang shit? How many of us are prepared for that? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but what if? We say, but Trump wouldn't rent to blacks in the 70s. Come on, leave it up, please. Oh boy. Yeah, Kamala do look rough. Agreed. Let's see. Check out the RAND report extending Russia. The white paper describes this. Let's see. This it right here. Okay, take a look.
The Defense Department asked us to look at how can we impose costs in Russia. Specifically, what can we do to force Russia to invest more in different areas than it would cost the United States?
We looked at Russia's vulnerabilities and anxieties. Vulnerabilities principle is its heavy dependence on oil and gas exports. This is a significant portion of its GDP, significant portion of its government income. Anxieties, the regime is concerned about its own stability, survivability. This may be an exaggerated concern, but it's definitely a concern. They remember the collapse of the Soviet Union. They remember the color revolutions in Ukraine and Serbia and Georgia. And they fear that the same might occur in Russia.
We looked at a range of measures across a variety of different policy areas. We looked at geopolitical measures, ideological measures, military investments, economic investments, and the like. In general, the most promising measures were in the economic domain, primarily two: expanding U.S. energy production and intensifying the sanctions regime.
Expanding energy production would increase global supply, decrease prices, and therefore decrease revenue coming to Russia for its budget and for its overall economy. There are a number of further things we can do with sanctions. One is to broaden them. So sanctions right now mostly apply to oil, to some financial institutions, to people, and to defense and intelligence industries. We could broaden the sectors that are covered by sanctions. The other area is deepening them. For example, in energy, they mostly apply to deep water, to shale, and to Arctic, but we can extend those further throughout the Russian energy industry. So there are things we can do. These will have costs as well on US companies and European companies if we do them.
Is that it? You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that Russian defector. You guys remember this?
Mr. Bezmenov was born in 1939 in a suburb of Moscow. He was the son of a high-ranking Soviet Army officer. He was educated in the elite schools inside the Soviet Union and became an expert in Indian culture and Indian languages. He had an outstanding career with Novosti, which was and still is, I should say, the press arm or the press agency of the Soviet Union. It turns out that this is also a front for the KGB. To
answer your question, so you were talking about good old boys coming down from the hills. Are we about to have a Red Dawn scenario here? Who knows? Who knows? If we can't put Ukraine on a leash. If they keep attacking Russia, there's no telling. Say the PDF is more detailed. Yeah, but there's no telling. I mean, I'm not saying that it will happen. I'm not saying it won't happen. But I mean, it would be kind of foolish to think that Russia does not have sleeper cell agents here in the United States, especially during the whole border situation where Mexico made it legal for Russians to stay in Mexico without a visa. All right. Meanwhile, you're catching Chinese spies on the border. You got like 5 of them huddled up in just their underwear. 5 Chinese nationals on the border huddled up in their underwear being found by Border Patrol. Why are 5 Chinese nationals huddled up at the border in their underwear being discovered by Border Patrol? Then you had the 5 Chinese, not the 5, but you had the gang of Chinese spies, hackers, that they found in an apartment in New York. I forgot what they were doing, but the FBI was on their ass. All right. And we're not talking about teenagers having fun. Like, these guys were actual Chinese spies. There's a map. I have to show y'all the map where they were showing, Dr. Phil was showing, matter of fact, hold on. Dr. Phil was showing Trump a map of the land that China owned in the United States, which was around U.S. military bases. Hold on. Here we go. All right, we'll do this.
Welcome to Joe in Babylon. I'll be with you as we are stranded in Babylon. I'm just like Doug in Exile, but without the camera.
Chinese government has funded buying major farmland.
Yeah. I just wanted to interject here at this point my own anecdotal connection to this. I was getting 2 to 3 calls a week asking if I was interested in selling my property, and I started to notice that every caller had a Chinese accent. So I started asking them about their accent. I would say, just out of curiosity, what is your accent? Where are you from? Almost every time they would hang up on me. Except one time, the caller said his accent was because he was from Texas. I laughed and said, that's not a Texas accent. And then he got mad at me and hung up. So I know this is just anecdotal, but I suspect the Chinese government is not just buying farmland, but residential land as well. Then superimposed over that map is some of our most strategic military bases
surrounding,
including equipment, biological.
Oh my God, dude, shut the fuck up. Here we go.
Do it. I know you. You say what? Let's get rid of these. You know the money they save and the danger they save?
And look at this map that I did a show about this. The red is where Chinese government has funded buying major farmland.
Yeah.
And then superimposed on that are some of our most strategic military bases. Yeah. And you can see there's Dugway Proving Ground. That's military equipment, biological, chemical weapons. They're surrounding it. Utah Test Training Range, the largest supersonic authorized restricted airspace in the United States. Whiteman Air Force Base, B-2 Spirit Stealth Bomber Base, missile drone operations, MQ-9 Reaper, Global Strike Command 3, Air Force, entire Bomber Force, nuclear command, control, and communications. But they're surrounding our military bases. Right.
What's going on, Art? Did y'all know that? What? I discovered that. I found that video on TikTok. I had no idea that video exists. I had no idea that video existed until what? About 3 weeks ago.
Dr. Phil.
And I wondered, yeah. Go ahead. You want to say something?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I wonder why Dr. Phil seemed to be very red-pilled, Have you noticed the change in Dr. Phil lately?
Oh, after he detoxed from Oprah?
Yeah. His whole demeanor changed. He stopped playing games with people. He actually proved that he was a quote unquote real doctor. And then to drop some info like this. Was there something you want to say?
No.
Okay.
He escaped to the West in 1970 after becoming totally disgusted with the Soviet system, and he did this at great risk to his life. He certainly is one of the world's outstanding experts on the subject of Soviet propaganda and disinformation and active measures. Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets used the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years, actually it's overfulfilled because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation. What matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda, When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in 68, Comrade Brezhnev said, now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized. This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with the benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. Your leftists in United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. But they may turn into the most bitter enemies of Marxist-Leninists when they come to power. And that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember most of these former Marxist-Leninists were either put to prison or one of them split, and now he's working against Sandinistas. It happened in Grenada when Maurice Bishop was already a Marxist. He was executed by a new Marxist who was more Marxist than this Marxist. Same happened in Afghanistan when first there was Taraki, he was killed by Amin, then Amin was killed by Babrak Karmal with the help of KGB. Same happened in Bangladesh when Mujibur Rahman, very pro-Soviet leftist, was assassinated by his own Marxist-Leninist military comrades. It's the same pattern everywhere. The time bomb is ticking, but every second, the disaster.
Yeah.
Check the comments.
I don't even care. The last I've seen of Dr. Phil stopped playing that men are women game. He stopped lying to people on TV. I don't watch Dr. Phil, but the clips I've stumbled on, he stopped playing with people. Maybe he still is. I don't know. I don't watch his show, but what I've seen of him, he stopped playing with folks. All right. So it's 3:39 in the morning. I know you got to get up soon.
Yeah, for work.
Yeah. All right. So hopefully there'll be more on this in the
Later
morning
on in the day.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We will catch y'all later. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to whatever channel you're on. We've got 4 different channels. We got Red Pill Sleeper Cell, Back to Center, Villainous News, and Embrace Villainy. So it's up to y'all. But you know what, Blood Boiling? I'll do you a favor. I'll go check out some Dr. Phil of late and see if that's what's going on. I'll do that. All right, I'll do that. Meanwhile, let's get the hell up out of here. Bomb down. Bombs over Baghdad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's all you worried about? That's what you worried about? He didn't even condemn a white woman for lying on a black man for sexual assault. The man spent 15 years in prison. And you mad about that? He's a counselor. He's a psychological doctor. Do you know what a therapist does? You know, therapists don't blame or blame people for the shit that they do. You have to come. you have to come to that realization yourself. It's just like somebody telling you that you fat and you like, I ain't fat. I'm just big bone. You know? I mean, damn. Anyway. All right, y'all. Let's get out of here. Peace.
I'm not Captain Saberhole. No. I'm not Captain Saberhole. Yeah. No. Look, I'm not like this in the slightest. I'm attracted to intelligent chicks that think righteous.